Welcome back to the channel. I am your host Muriel, and in today's video I'm going to do a little wrap-up of all the games basically not all the games I played, but all the games I played and streamed on Twitch last year. Because obviously I played more games than I will be mentioning. You know, games like Repo and Peak, which I love, big fan, that I play with my friends and my partner, but I can stream them on Twitch. And they're not narrative-driven games as well. I want to focus on those. So I will be doing a little wrap-up. I'm basically going to mention 5 games, and so I'm going to go through the worst, the most disappointing, and the best. And the best will also be subdivided into an honorary mention. And basically, I have 2 games tied for best games of 2025. I also want to make it clear that these are games that I'd never played, so they're not necessarily games that came out in 2025. They are games I played and completed for the first time in 2025. So starting with the worst of 2025, it is none other than Silent Hill F, which I played and streamed last year in Spooktober. Well, for Spooktober in October. And look, I'm not going to deny, I did have some fun playing it, right? It was fun for a while, but ultimately, oh wow, did it leave me salty. Salty as fuck. So, to go back over the major points here, the combat, I loathe it. The puzzles were by and large disappointing. Some of them were good, but the gameplay overall was just not it for me. The story was rage-inducing. I mean, so here's the thing, right? There are multiple endings to this game, and you have to play through the game multiple times to get the quote-unquote true ending. So there is a supernatural element to this game. I wasn't really sure about that in my playthrough, and the ending to the story you get at the end of the first playthrough basically nixes the possibility of there being anything supernatural going on, which to me is not in the spirit of Silent Hill in any case. But so I didn't like that. I generally don't like the whole, it was all a dream, it was all psychosis formula in any case. The story, if you accept the fact there's no speculative element, wasn't terrible, just kind of under-delivering. But then if you do accept the fact there is a supernatural element, because I read up on the other endings and the quote-unquote true ending, oh wow, it's really boring and uninspired in terms of actual horror fantasy. So yeah, if you take it as non-speculative fiction, it's blue balling for me, the fantasy nerd and fantasy fan. And then if you do accept there is fantasy, it's pretty mediocre. So that's that. The theming was fine. I thought it was very baby's first steps into feminist theory. I think the heart was largely in the right place, but I found it very surface level, very superficial, but also weirdly too on the nose at times. Like, too overt, but also not deep enough at the same time. Like, one of the worst combinations out there, and I was just not impressed. I will say though, once again, credit where credit is due. The music, phenomenal. The sound design, phenomenal. The visuals, great overall. And I did enjoy the Japanese setting, but at the end of the day, it's not really a Silent Hill game, is it? Not even Silent Hill set in Japan. There's nothing that links it back to the original Silent Hill games. For me, it's not truly a Silent Hill game. There's something about it that's in the spirit of Silent Hill, at least some of the game's levels, but overall, no. Horror factor-wise, no, yeah, it was decent. I was spooked at times. I was also jump-scared a lot. At times that felt really cheap because it was tied into the garbage combat, so I was not a fan of that. So yeah, no, it is, well, objectively for me, so objectively, subjectively, I know what I mean, it was the worst thing I played last year. It was a 4.5 to a 6 out of 10. That's like the widest rating range I've ever given anything, but that's the best I can do, 4.5 to a 6 out of 10. Then there's the most disappointing game of 2025, and I'm still sad that was Hollow Knight's Silksong. Now, to be crystal clear yet again, I did like it. I don't think it's a bad game. I still think it's a good to very good game, but I wanted it to be great. And for me, it was not. So that makes it the most disappointing because my expectations were not met. And given what it was supposed to be, that sucked. It just sucked. Now, look, visually beautiful, as good if not better than Hollow Knight. The music, a bit less memorable for me than Hollow Knight, but still beautiful music, beautiful art direction across the board. In terms of characters, I preferred, I think, overall, on average, I preferred, definitely, Hornet as a player character, and yeah, I preferred the NPCs in this one, and the story, kind of, I preferred it a little bit to Hollow Knight's, but on the whole, all of it was just really brought down for me with the gameplay. Now, I loved the movement, like, the flexibility of Hornet's movement and how fast she is. I love that. I enjoyed the platforming to a very large extent, but the combat, I just think there's a lot of bullshit in Silksong. I think there is a lot of hard, for the exclusive sake of being hard, bullshit in Silksong. Some people say that's just, it's more punishing. Fine, I don't like being punished for shits and giggles in a game. Believe it or not, some of us like Souls-like for other reasons, not for try-hardy, bullshitty difficulty. Difficulty can be good. There is I've said this in my review of Silksong and throughout my playthrough. There is enjoyable, challenging difficulty, but then there is also kind of like, why the fuck am I putting myself through this types of difficulty where it feels very spazzy and very inconsistent and just punishing for the sake of it in a way that I just don't personally find enjoyable. And for me, there was quite a bit of that in Silksong. And again, I have a similar problem with Elden Ring as compared to, you know, some of FromSoft's other games like Bloodborne or Dark Souls 3, which those I played. And it really soured my experience of Silksong. So many bosses just did not give me joy fighting them. Like I wanted to enjoy the fights, and I didn't, and I was just relieved at the end, and it just left me feeling sour and exhausted to the point where at times I just wanted to cheat. I just wanted the game to be over with. And that sucks. That's not what I want to experience when I play freaking Hollow Knight. Hollow Knight sequel. Especially coming from Hollow Knight, because Hollow Knight for me is a beautiful, near flawless, near perfect little gem. It's not flawless, but, you know, Hollow Knight's a 9. Silksong was a 7.5. And again, 7.5 is very good. It's still a very good game, but coming from the 9 of Hollow Knight, it was disappointing. So that's that. That being said, yes, I will play the DLC. It's fucking free. Of course I'm going to play it and stream it. Duh. And now to the best of 2025. First, the honorable mention. That would be Disco Elysium, which I also fully played and streamed on Twitch. Oh, what a great game. I have issues with it, obviously, like it's still only a 7.5 out of 10, but again, in my rating system, 7.5 is very good. Such a great, very good to great game in so many ways. So rich thematically, such an immersive world, really good world building. Like, you can really feel like it's a real place. Like, the reality of the world of Disco Elysium is real. And then just absolutely stellar character writing. Like, the writing in this game is just, it's just different, right? It's different. It's just a different category of quality, right? It is stellar. The fact that I care, I did care about the player character, but the player character reminded me of one of my abusers, and I still, managed to play it and enjoy it. Like, that's how good the writing was. That's how nuanced and layered and good it was. And there were so many moments that were so full of flavor and funny, or emotional and hard-hitting. And it has a really good just plot story as well. My big thing, though, is it's so rich in a way that I almost kind of wonder if I wouldn't prefer this kind of story and theming in just straight up a novel. Just straight up a novel written by China Miéville, because, the writing very strongly reminded me of China Miéville and some of his novels even more specifically than that. Again, if you enjoyed this game and you're also a reader, go check out China Miéville's fiction. You're welcome. Because I just missed so much on my playthrough. And I get that it's the kind of game that wants to play it several times. Like Silent Hill F, I might add. I don't like that. With Silent Hill F, it was egregious because it's like, your story is not even complete. And I played through the game, but I didn't get the full story. I did get the full story with Disco Elysium, but there's so many little elements and details and nuances to the world building and theming that I didn't actually get on my first playthrough. I'm just not the kind of person who replays games immediately. Like, that's just not who I am. So I was left a bit frustrated by that. unfortunately. I was also not a fan of the ending. It felt a bit too magical realism-y for me. I hate magical realism. I just fucking hate it. And it just felt a bit too much like that for my taste. Disco Elysium as a whole is not magical realism, though. I would be very clear about that. It's not. But that ending was a bit too, the fuck is happening right now? What are we doing? And then it just ends. And so the ending was a bit too what the fucky, this came out of nowhere, and then it's just over. Like, it was a bit too abrupt as well. I felt the game could have ended differently earlier. There was a very good emotional resolution early on in the game, and then the actual narrative ending was a bit like, I'm not a fan. So that's why it's only a 7.5 out of 10. But still a very enjoyable game. And that's saying a lot, because this is not the kind of game I would really play otherwise. I'm not really a text-heavy RPG person. Like, I've never really played a game like this before. And I don't know that I would really reach for this kind of game in the future either. I think a game that is similar to this structurally would be Baldur's Gate 3. I know a lot of people, I have to be very honest, probably a hot take, I have zero interest in playing that game. Certainly not on my own. Absolutely no interest whatsoever in playing Baldur's Gate 3. I know, it might sound weird because I love fantasy, but nah, I've seen gameplay of it and I'm kind of like, eh? The writing would have to be basically as good as Disco Elysium's, and the theming, world building, and writing would have to be as good as Disco Elysium's for me to actually pick it up. Just throwing that out there. And then finally, the actual best of the best of 2025. Technically, it's tied. It's a tie. I could not make up my mind between these two games. They're very different games, but I adored both of them. So the first one I'm going to mention, I don't think this is going to be a surprise to anyone who's followed me for a while, Cyberpunk 2077. What a great freaking game. What a fun freaking game. What a delight to play on stream. Holy shit. I love that game. And I am not someone who really is into cyberpunk as a subgenre. That's the other thing. I'm not crazy for cyberpunk at all. As a subgenre in sci-fi, as an aesthetic, I'm much more, the Forest Witch, gothic-y shit type of person. I'm not into the uber tech cyberpunk-y stuff at the outset. Like, and I read Neuromancer. I did not like Neuromancer for one thing, but like, that game, it made me like cyberpunk, basically, which, that is a feat in and of itself. And very good story, like very good and engaging story, very good and engaging characters and character quests and side quests. A lot of them was so much fun. A lot of them were very thoughtful. That's the thing, there's a lot of theming in this game too. There's a lot of very thoughtful exploration of quintessentially cyberpunk sci-fi themes like AI, consciousness, identity. What does it mean to be human? The soul. What does dying mean in a world where you can upload your consciousness to a computer and the Matrix, essentially? Like, all these things. And of course, the capitalist, libertarian, the capitalist libertarian hellscape that is the future portrayed by cyberpunk, right? Like, the horror of that, the sheer horror of that, and kind of recognizing that we're kind of already part of the way there, and that's terrifying. All of that, it was just the world building was so good. Like, the immersivity, is that a word? I don't think, but the immersion that you experience with Night City as just a setting for a game. Not flawless, of course, not perfect, but I'd never played anything like that before, and it was just so well done. So well done. I freaking enjoyed driving in that freaking game. It was fun, and seeing all the motorways and the roads. Again, I'm not crazy for cyberpunk, but a beautiful homage and love letter to cyberpunk as a subgenre and aesthetic within science fiction. Just beautiful. Like, if someone does love cyberpunk, you have to play this game. Like, obviously. And I don't even love cyberpunk, but I was like, holy shit, this is so well done, though. This is beautifully brought to life. Great game. And then also just, it was fucking fun. I'd never played a game where I shoot stuff before. I know. I've never played first-person shooters. I was worried that I, for one thing, suck at it. And I'm not pretending I'm good at it by any means, but I was afraid I'd suck at it and I wouldn't really like it. I fucking loved it. I'm not pro guns at all. But holy shit, the pew-pew was fun. The pew-pewing was loads of fun, and the hacking was fun. A lot of it was just fun, and I loved romancing Judy, my bestest girl, my beloved. No, great experience. I'm really miffed and sad that I cannot play the DLC on PS4. Yeah, I learned that recently. That fucking sucks, because I would like to. I could technically buy the game again on PC and play it there. Not anytime soon, let me tell you that. But then I also, I love this game so much as an RPG that I probably, for one thing, yeah, I might check out The Witcher 4 in the future, but if anyone's interested, I think I've mentioned this before on a stream, I got The Witcher 3 and its DLCs on a great sale for the PS4, so that is going to be the big in terms of length, sheer length, the big RPG of 2026. Probably in the summer, I will play The Witcher 3 on stream. That's back to more kind of, familiar to me fantasy territory, but still, I'm looking forward to that. But no, Cyberpunk, great game. Also, yes, it's very janky. I'm the first to admit there is still there's a lot of jank and glitchiness, but you know what? It added to the fun. It made the experience better for me. So many moments that were impacted by jank were fucking hilarious and made for great moments on stream. So you know what? Yeah, I have a fondness for said jankiness. That's right. And ratings-wise, I mean, it's nothing lower than 8.5 out of 10. That's for sure. And so Cyberpunk 2077 is tied for best game of 2025 with 9 Souls. That game was also just amazing. I loved it so much. It is the level of good I wish Hollow Knight Silksong was at, for me personally. So, I never thought I'd enjoy a game where combat is centered around parrying. I never fucking parry in Dark Souls. I like the gun parrying in Bloodborne, but it's not quite the same thing. I never bothered trying to parry in Elden Ring. Fucking loved the once I really kind of got it, fucking loved the combat in 9 Souls. Okay, there's sections that are a bit frustrating and bullshitty, but the boss battles, they're not all great. But when they're great, they are fucking god tier great. That is the kind of combat I want in a Souls game or in a Souls-like game. Difficulty that is challenging, but oh so magnificently rewarding. Yes, which was severely lacking for me with Silksong. And then, what a cool setting. I mean, the story is not amazing, but it was still a solid and solidly engaging story, and the setting was just so different. I thought it was going to be fantasy. It's more science fiction than anything else. It's science fantasy, and I've been told, and yes, so the developers called it Towpunk? I'm familiar with Silkpunk, which is like the punky stuff, but with settings that take inspiration from Asian cultures and history. But this is even more specifically like Towpunk, because Taoism as a spiritual system, as a spiritual philosophy, is very central to the world building of 9 Souls. And I thought that was really cool shit. It ties into the theming, it ties into the world building and the storytelling, and a lot of the characters are based on, real, you know what I mean, figures of Chinese mythology and folklore. And it was so fun looking it up afterwards, actually. And the story's really moving in places. That's the thing. Again, I'm not a character-driven, reader, principally. I'm a bit more character-driven with visual media like cinema and games, but still, usually, I'm not that fussed about characters, but here I cared about the characters. I cared about a fucking child character, which is really hard to do for me. Generally, I find child characters annoying, but here it was sweet. It was endearing, and the relationship between Xuan and Yi was so fucking moving. and endearing. Like, I almost like have tears in my eyes thinking about it again. And there's just beautiful theming on what it means to be alive, what it means to die, what it means to maybe still exist after death, like immortality and accepting also death and the end of things and extinction. And there's this whole subplot with Yi and his sister, and it legitimately like basically made me cry on stream. Like, it was just so, I mean, I'm very susceptible to theming around death and letting go and grief and losing loved ones in any case. So okay, fair enough, that's a weakness of mine. Not an actual weakness, but I am very like susceptible to that as a general rule. But still, here it was done beautifully. Like, it was legitimately moving. So it's not the deepest or most layered or most nuanced theming in the world, but what was there was very well executed. And I just love the story, and then with that, I love the exploration. Now, it's true, it's a less exploration-heavy Metroidvania. It's probably, I know I've seen some people say it barely counts as a Souls-like Metroidvania. Look, I'm not an expert. It still counts as a Metroidvania for me. Take that as you will. I enjoy the exploration. I enjoyed learning about the world, learning about the backstory, love the character interactions. And the fucking gameplay was very good. Again, there were moments I was frustrated, I was not enjoying myself, but by and large, once I basically, cracked the combat or the boss fights, some of the best Souls-like boss fights I've ever fucking played. And the ending of the game is just a beautiful example of very well done execution, narratively, thematically, gameplay-wise. It was a near perfect climax to what you play through all throughout the game, and the story and the characters and everything. And that boss battle, delicious, beautiful. I fucking adored that boss fight. My freaking god. Definitely among my favorite Souls-like boss fights. Holy shit. And then, yeah, the story at the end. I loved it. I love it. Great fucking game. I would just wholeheartedly recommend it to people who enjoy Souls-like games and Souls-like Metroidvanias more specifically. For me, it's like that's on the level of Hollow Knight for me. It's quite different. It's quite different, and I think my preference still goes to cute little, Dark Souls with bugs instead of Sekiro with, alien cats rooted in Chinese mythology and folklore rather than Japanese mythology and folklore, as is the case with Sekiro. So yes, my preference still goes to the little bugs, but still, it's basically on that level. It's the level I wish that Silksong was at for me. I stand by that, yeah. And now I kind of want to play Sekiro. So I might do that at some point in the future. And so that was also basically of nothing below an 8.5 out of 10, potentially basically a 9 out of 10. It was that good. And so that will be all for my 2025 gaming and streaming wrap-up. I hope you found this little video interesting, entertaining, engaging, that it was just a pleasant way for you to pass a little bit of your time, because that is always valid. If you want to share thoughts, feelings about any of the games I mentioned, you are more than welcome to do so in the comments down below. And on that very final note, I hope you will have a lovely day, evening, whichever time of day you prefer. Please do take good care of yourselves. Thank you for watching, as always, and hopefully you can join me for more gaming fun on Twitch in the future, and perhaps in another video on this very channel, or over on my booktube channel, The Purple Bookworm. But until then, bye-bye!